Let us start this lecture with a thought process. Our beautiful blue planet, that is Earth, is getting heated day by day due to the growing level of greenhouse gas emissions from human activity. Unless we abate it, unsolvable problems like rising sea levels, acute water scarcity, heat waves are going to make our life miserable. In the last lecture, we basically discussed about the problem of water scarcity and how we can handle with the wisdom of our ancient technologies. And today we will be discussing about another problem that we face due to the rising of temperature of the earth surface and also the environment, and how to have a cooling and ventilation in the houses so that we can live peacefully. So today topic is basically passive cooling and ventilation techniques in ancient India. So before getting into the topic, let us look at what are the problems we are facing with modern urban housings. And we know that in urban areas, even some portion of the rural areas, the concrete jungles are coming up. All are facing in different directions. They don't have a sense of putting their windows and doors in particular direction depending on the geographical location. And unfortunately, in ancient India, people are having that sense of direction for making a proper house or house. And today, most of the houses are without adequate ventilations, particularly the doors and windows are not adequate today. Of course, certain areas we will see in ancient India, doors and windows are, particularly the windows are were used sparingly. And as I told earlier, houses are built nowadays with concrete glass panels and which trap heat into the houses. And with the modern knowledge system that we are doing, rather without using our knowledge, we are making houses, and that became a really great problem for maintaining a comfortable temperature inside the room. And we are having so less street without trees and community gardens. Now most of the trees are being uprooted without really planting them again. And today, of course, the houses being built in urban and rural areas are devoid of the personal garden and courtyards, which were the hallmark, particularly in rural, even some portion of the urban areas as well. And it is quite difficult to walk on the street today, and so also cycling, which really doesn't need any consumption of fuels or fossil fuels. It won't pollute. Rather, by walking and cycling, we can have good health, and also we will travel and without polluting or without leaving any carbon footprints on our environments. There is a big problem of car parking in the urban areas. People do park cars without really thinking about the inconvenience to others on the roads of in urban areas. So that is a big problem, and let us look at more problems in a little different way. That is, as I told, that there is a big problem of maintaining a comfortable temperature in the room. Therefore, the people are resorting to maintain the internal temperature or the room temperature by using mechanical cooling in the summer and heating in the winter season. As a result, that we are consuming large amount of energy, and when we are consuming energy, then we are also polluting the atmosphere. And there is a big problem of wastewater management, as I had told earlier, that we use a lot of water and that becomes wastage, and then we do not recycle it. and that is a big challenge what we are having in the water scarcity because of high temperature of the surface and atmosphere, that we will have to use more amount of water, and water become a scarcity. And there is a lack of greenery across the streets and even the houses. So there is a big problems of maintaining the temperature of the environment, and so also the oxygen level in the environment. And at the same time we are dumping large amount of obnoxious gases like carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, NOx, SOx, and several others due to the burning of fossil fuels. And there is a big problems of as a result, the carbon footprints are quite high. So far our life is concerned, that is the new term what people are talking about, and carbon credit, so that you can get some benefit out of it, and you can manage to save the environment from Holocaust. And beside this, there is a problem of the road safety, as I told, and crime is rising at an alarming rate, particularly in India, where people are being hankering after acquiring of materials, being persuaded by the market forces with constant advertisement bombardments that is going on. So therefore, that is a big problem, has to be challenged, and it looks to me the mind is polluted, and that is causing a lot of problem due to this materialistic way of life. And what are the crises of sustainability? Although in most of ancient Indian technology, the sustainability was a part and parcel, and it was inbuilt in the systems, but today we don't have that. And as I told, there is a big problem of global warming and environmental pollution, over exploitation of natural resources, because the resources is getting crunched day by day, and that is due to the over consumption of product and wastage of resources, because people don't have mind that the mother earth is having limitation in providing the resources, natural resources, for making development. So there is only one way of doing is that we will have to consume less and also the waste less, because the population is going up, and also the demand is going up. So it looks to me that maybe we need another 5 to 6 planets to have supply of that, for so that it can manage, otherwise it will be difficult. So as I told, there is a depletion of fossil fuels being limited, and the consumption is increasing at an alarming rate due to the modern lifestyles, and of course the technologies and the market forces are pushing people to have a life, very luxurious life, and without bothering about environment. With this situation, question arises how to cool the temperature of building for comfort, because we need a comfortable life. So what are the ways people have adopted is the question one need to see. But let us look at how the people are making building. So if you look at this building, that it is having a lot of concrete structure. These are concrete structures and honeycomb structures they have used, and a lot of concrete being used, which will be absorbing large amount of heat and also radiating. And look at this, this is a glass panel, and these are the glass windows what people are using. This is the glass, made of glass, and what it does, it allows the light and heat to enter into, but heat cannot really come out of it. So this is a big problem what we are having, that it is raising the temperature of the environment inside the room. And also if you look at, as a result, that to cool the room to a comfortable temperature, we will be using air conditioner. And I have taken a image of a building, one side of the, of course, the building, which are really crowded with several air conditioners. There is no space available to put another one. So, that is the way what people have found out in modern time to keep the temperature of the room or the hall or a place of living comfortable. And as a result, if you look at the sale of these air conditioning systems are increasing at an alarming rate. Just to give some idea about at what rate it is increasing, I have taken some data of 2013 to 14, maybe 5 years data, but it is also quite huge. About 3.3 million air conditioners were sold in India. But today it may be 4.5 or 5 million air conditioner might be sold in India at this moment. Besides that, if you look at all air conditioners being operated in India will be maybe the number of all air conditioning systems used in India will be much more than maybe 2-3 crore. And if you look at the China 2010, maybe something 8 years back, I am talking about 15 million air conditioner units were sold, and which is of course for quite a big number as compared to the Indian number, but still both the countries are really consuming a lot of it. It's not only India, China, but USA, other countries, they are using large number of air conditioning systems. And it is being anticipated that within 15 years, Saudi Arabia could consume more oil than it exports, largely due to the air conditioning system, due to the uses of the air conditioning system. By 2050, world consumptions of energy for cooling and heating could expand tenfold whatever is today. And if you look at where we will get those energy, because the fossil fuel is getting depleted at an alarming rate, and then also the cost of the fossil fuel is being escalated due to the higher consumption rate. And let us look at what do you mean by air conditioning. Is basically to condition the air, and it is a process of controlling the temperature, humidity, ventilation and air quality of a building or a vehicle such that you can have a very comfortable temperature and also comfortable atmosphere inside the room or the building or a car. So, that is basically, but in India what we do, we are only looking at the temperature, because to maintain the quality, air quality and humidity is a quite a challenging affair, and so for that you will have to make the system very complex in nature. Let us look at a simple air conditioning system. A schematic I have shown here. If you look at it, is having various components. One is corresponding to the compressor, and the 3 is your condenser, which is I have shown here, and it is having a condenser fan, and then it is having also the receiver or dryer. Of course, in India we don't have that components, and it is having 6 the expand or this is known as also expansion valve or throttle valve being used. Then it is having another component is evaporators. Of course, it will be having a blower which will take the cool air from this evaporator. Let us see how it is worked. Generally, the refrigerant will be passing through this circuit, and the cold vapor, which is at a low pressure, will be compressed with the help of compressor to a high pressure, and also the hot compressed gas will be passing through this condenser, and in which the heat will be getting into transferred to the atmosphere surrounding, which will be at a higher temperature, and then this will be passing through the pipe. The pipe is basically receiver, and then afterwards this cold compressed liquid, it became converted into liquid, and then it will be expanded in the throttle valve or the expansion valve, and which will be cold, liquid and vapor, and then it will be passing through these evaporators where some of the heat will be taking, and then it will be converted into the cold vapor at a little low pressure, and then it again goes back to compressor where it will be getting compressed. So, this cycle is maintained, and through that we will be getting cold air. Of course, one can maintain the humidity by passing the air through the dryer. So, if you look at in this system, we use the refrigerants. Several of kind of refrigerants can be used. Some of them are ethyl ether, ammonia, methyl chloride, ethyl chloride, sulfur dioxide, hydrocarbons, a host of it, propane, butane, gasoline, ethane, ethylene, etc. But the most refrigerants which are used in our country is chlorofluorocarbons, and which are quite dangerous, and of course, the R11 and R12 being used earlier days, and that has been banned across the globe because of fact that these chlorofluorocarbons are considered the most dangerous to the ozone layer and greatest cause of global warming, because it consumes the ozone, and that protects us from the ultraviolet rays which is be entering into atmosphere. And of course, nowadays people are talking about R22 or 134, and these are having also similar, but it is having it is making less damage to the ozone layer. But now people are talking about the refrigerants which are won't be damaging the ozone layer, but however they are quite costly. And this air conditioning system what we had discussed here is basically vapor compression air conditioning system. There is also absorption systems, and which uses the ammonia, but that is being used for a large scale, and it is a little cumbersome to have a smaller air conditioning or refrigeration systems. So, if you look at what we are doing, we are basically trying to heat the atmosphere through the condenser, because we are rejecting the heat from taken from the room and to the atmosphere. As a result, the surrounding temperature is increasing. But the more important thing is that it is basically the refrigerants which are being used in this air conditioning system could damage the ozone layer, which is a threat for the survival on this beautiful blue planet. Question is why to go for ancient Indian architectures such that it will be have a house which is comfortable. Indigenous architecture refer to the type of architecture based on local climate and local needs. So, that is a very important one. The basis of indigenous architecture is climate and location of place, locally available materials and local skills. That is a very important thing which I had emphasized earlier also. And ancient Indian architecture techniques is basically sustainable, durable and harmony with mother nature, and involves the passive control techniques for keeping the room temperature at a comfortable level. So, that is the crux of the thing. We need to look at how to design and the house such that we may not really have this air conditioning system. We can live a comfortable life without that. The characteristics of ancient Indian housing we will have to look at. Generally, in the backyard of our houses, we are having vegetable and herbal garden, as well as certain seasonal fruit trees which are lacking today even in rural areas. And trees like asoka, neem, mango, etc. were kept around the house so that it will be giving a lot of oxygen, and also it will be giving shades so that it will not make the room to go for a very higher temperature that is uncomfortable. The Vastu system, which is basically traditional Indian system of architecture, was used earlier, and that was helping to integrate architecture with the mother nature, and which encompasses a flexible design guidelines for space, sunlight, ventilations, and various utilities what it will be having. And we are using basically materials for the house construction which were locally available. The construction techniques were as simple as possible, such that person who are living could construct and repair, maintain it by themselves, and they feel good about it. They will be using their creative energy or creativity to develop and find out what they need and what are the things, and as a result they will be learning a lot in the process. And local architecture and cultural heritage were maintained, and good health of residents were ensured at that time, because they will be doing a lot of physical work and they will be feeling very comfortable and proud of making a house and living there for maintenance also. And positive energy creation in the house was earlier being used, and spirituality and cordial relationship were ensured in family. Today there is a big problem of this relationship. Even in modern time, relationship in family is also not that good as it was earlier, and values of human life were very good due to the good relationship among the family members. And let us look at the climate in India, what we are having. And if you look at the map I have shown here, and if you look at this Kashmir, Jammu Kashmir regions and some Himachal Pradesh other region, that is a cold. Of course, the Gujarat and then some portion of Maharashtra and Rajasthan, these are warm and humid regions. And in the central portion is a composite, and whereas the eastern side of coastal areas is basically warm and humid. And this, as if you look at Rajasthan and then Gujarat and then some portion of Madhya Pradesh are quite hot, being a desert region and then arid region. And temperate, of course, is a very small places which will be there here in Karnataka regions, and that is a pink color. And cold regions you will find, as I told earlier, that in Jammu Kashmir and then Himachal Pradesh and some portion of these northeastern regions and some pockets in the western side of the western coastal side. So if you look at in India, we are having basically hot and dry for 2/3 of the year, and there will be seasonal variation. Relative humidity can be less than 100%. Relative humidity can be less than 10% in summer, and the temperature can vary minus 45 degree to 50 degree in the entire country. So if you look at different region is having different problems, so for comfortable condition is to be maintained. Therefore, the solution need not to be the same across the country, rather we will have to use depending on the situation. So let us look at what are the passive cooling techniques which were being practiced in earlier days. One is space utilization, flexible building envelope, and microclimate modification, thermal mass, night radiation cooling, and ventilation. These can be used various permutation combination depending on the locality where you are going to have the houses. So let us look at first the thermal design of rural houses, which are basically being used in among the poor section of the people. but they were using the scientific knowledge at that time. If you look at, this is let's say this is the east side, this is west side, this is north side, and the south. If you look at the sun path, it goes high up, and there may be sun at the mid day, it will be around at this place, and then it will be going down. And whereas in the winter season, let's say December 21, this will be going in a little lower level, and you will see that if we will maintain the house in such a way that having towards the, it is facing, the house is facing to the south, and then it is having a V-shaped roof, and you will see that when the summer is there, and then it is kind of shade being created, and in winter it will be, the sun takes a different path. If you rotate the inclined roof house by 90 degrees, the morning sun will come on the eastward inclinations, and evening sun will become on the westward slide, which helps in achieving the cooling inside the building, and that is being taken care. Let me show you that in a window or in a door you can have these overhangs. Of course, this is a people are using a inverted shape roof, so that you are having a eave or the overhangs are there in such a way that in the summer the direct sun won't enter into the room, but whereas in the December or in the winter season, the sun will enter and keep the room warm in a winter season. So that is the thing what being used earlier days. Unfortunately today people do not have that kind of knowledge, to also may not have that much of time to do the calculation and then have that, because traditional knowledge is being lost. So these inclined roofs were being used in houses of ancient villages. Let us look at how does the roof shape cool the house. And the advantage of inclined roof is basically it will be keeping the heat at away, and so that beside this it will be using some materials like straw and then hairs, so that which will act like a heat insulation, so that the room will be kept at a low temperature even in the midsummer. So let us look at how does this the inclined roof helps in transferring less amount of heat into the room. The sun radiation, you can heat the room, some of the thing will be transferred into the inside the room, and some of them will be reflected back, and beside this that relative the roof will be also radiating heat, so that very less amount of heat will be entering into the room inside, so that the temperature will be low. As I told earlier, these roof materials also are made of hay or the grass or the straw, so that it will be acting like a heat insulators. So therefore, the less amount of heat will be transferred to the room. And let us look at natural ventilation system in the earlier in ancient houses. And generally two systems were being used. One is of course the wind driven cross ventilation, other is buoyancy driven ventilation. So windows are provided on the wall opposite of doors properly for better cross ventilation, because of fact that we need to have air for ventilation. However, this air should not really impinge into the person who are living directly, rather it should be, the velocity will be decreased so that it will be remain comfortable, and also it will be scooping out the air which are having stale air or some other things, so that it will be go away and ventilation will be good. Therefore, the windows are kept not just opposite of the door, but little away from that in the opposite wall, so that the air recirculation will be there across the entire room. And the houses were designed to get advantage of natural breeze for the houses, house air ventilation and cooling. So, let us look at like there is another design of the inclined roof such that it will be act like a buoyancy driven ventilation kind of thing. If you look at the sun is falling on this roof, there will be temperature and there is a gap here, a passage is provided such that air can enter into the this roof, like air will be entering here and then it will be passing through these ventilators which will be there on the top of it, like in this region, such that it will be cooling the places. Of course, that has been used in several places, particularly the houses where people will be making yajnas, or the houses which will be cooking being done, such that the air will be going through this way. And natural ventilation relies on the bridges to remove moisture, heat, odor and active gases. For example, there will be some places, as I told, there will be air here and there is space being provided so that the fresh air can enter into here, the moisture, dust and heat can be going through this, and there is a passage is given on the top, as I told here. This is one design, like where it can be driven by the buoyancy forces. The entire roof is not exposed to the sun at the same time, so whereas the modern building of the flat roof is exposed to the sun throughout. And beside this, the rooms are built of different heights such that one will become shadow on the other, that is being such that it won't really get heated off all the time by the sun. As I told that the inclined roofs, although it is costly to have that, but it is advantageous from the various regions. So, let us look at another step well. We had discussion about Rani Ki Baat step well, and this is a magnanimous step well, is known as a Chand Bauri, and some people call it Bali kind of things, and this is located in the village of Avnari in Avhanagari. Earlier name is Avhanagari, means radiance, in Rajasthan, and it was constructed around 800 to 900 CE by King Chanda of Nikumba dynasty, and it was dedicated to Hasat Mata, the goddess of joy and happiness. Look at this, this quite looks to be very magnanimous in nature, and this is your place where water will be stored, and these are the steps and various layers, and then will be there, like there are several steps will be there. And one side there is a pavilions, and these pavilions were being occupied by the royal people, influential people, and this place was basically a meeting place for women folk who will be around, and then it reaches temperature of this place in the hot summer will be 5 to 6 degrees Celsius lower than the ambient temperature, and it is also like water being used from this place. And if you look at it, is quite magnanimous how they built, and lot of beautification being done, and some people were also saying that there is a tunnel which goes for a longer time, and so that one can escape from this place to other things, particularly the royal people or the king, if they will be attacked by others. And they have combined this the cold comfortable room space along with the water conservation and also water utilization. So, if you look at do not think such an elaborate yet so simple in its basic philosophy synergy various needs in a compact way. How did our ancestors begin to think that one can dig into ground and use the earth as a heat sink, because this temperature was quite low, and have access to the water, put a pavilion onto it so that it remains comfortable throughout the year. And this is basically a very great example of the space utilization. A lot of utilities are being combined together, and it is also a monument which has created a lot of fanfare among the people even today. So, is it not a fabulous technology par excellence what modern engineers can think of? So, this is a thing what we can learn combining this, and there is a flexible building envelopes which is being done, and this is about Panch Mahal in Fatehpur Sikri. The thermal characteristics of outer building surface is being changed by movable curtains and screens. And of course, when I had visited this Panch Mahal maybe around 10 years back, I was wondering how the Akbar and then other Mughal kings were living in this place, because they were controlling the entire India from this Fatehpur Sikri fort. And in case of houses, rolling bamboos and grass curtains were used so that you can maintain. So, this is known as basically microclimate modification, what they do by basically using various kinds of techniques, like they were also using the water bodies or fountains in the courtyards and like other courtyards, so that they can control the temperature, or they can control the climate around that. And so, this is the Fatehpur Sikri where the throne is here, and so if you look at this schematic diagram, this is the throne where the emperor will be sitting, and then making all this court work, and there is a grass mat sprinkled with water. This is one layer, and there is another layer, and this is your water channel which is having across all around. So, if you look at the hot air which will be passing through this grass mat with of course sprinkled water, that will be cooled down, and again it will go for another layer, and some of the water whichever is there, it will be falling down here, and then it will be maintaining the humidity, and this is so that it will remain cool in this even hot summer. So, that was a good things what they had done using both the water bodies and also the curtains with mat by sprinkling water on them, and this is Diwani-e-Khas of the Red Fort. And let us look at the microclimate modification urban areas. I am talking about Jaisalmer in Rajasthan, where the temperature will be 44 to 5 degrees Celsius in the entire region. Let us look at this topology of that aerial view of this city, ancient city. And major streets, if you look at, these are the major streets which is oriented to the north and then east directions, and minor city is at a right angle to that. These are minor cities, minor streets, and the compact structure of houses does not allow the sun to penetrate in that, because they are having common walls. I will show you the picture little later on. And the buildings were generally ground plus 2 or 3 structure approached by a narrow streets. The streets, some of them are narrow, particularly which is perpendicular to the major streets, and that was purposefully made, and dense cluster of buildings were built at that time. And if you look at, this is the boundary walls which is having ventilators. There is a various gate, Mallika gate and Kishan gate, and Gharishar tank, there is a water tank, this is a fort, and there is of course Amar Sagar gate. And as I told that it is having common walls, building with the unequal heights, and this technique was being used earlier in rural areas also. The walls of 6 meter height were built around this city to protect the city from the sandstorm, because this is located in Rajasthan, the desert area, and the pavements also made in such a way that there won't be any dust, right, because this will be the surface will be dust free. So, the design ensures shade and coolness on the street as well as minimal exposure to hot and dry climate. So, at the town scale, the buildings are unequal heights with parapets and high walls, creating uneven skylines and desired shading of each other. See, this is at the building at the town level, people might have designed that way. And how they had done is also one question. As I told, there is a cluster of houses, and each houses will be having a courtyards, and these are the secondary street, these are the main street, and these are having common walls. So, generally whenever we look at common wall among the houses, we feel, oh, it is badly designed, but for that reason it is good. If you look at, these are the with the parapets and then things, and these are the one building, this another taller building, so that there is a shade which is having here, and you can see that, and these are the narrow lanes. And generally the rooms of the houses of various kinds were there for the rich, medium income group and the poor people, and various kinds, and then of course the very rich people, there is a Haveli and other things which I will not be discussing. Generally there will be a courtyard. If you look at, these are the courtyard, right, and there will be a veranda, and there is a room, and in some places only courtyard, veranda, room, and there is a various kinds you can see here. And windows are generally small and fitted with a solid timber shutters, and these windows are limited to upper floor due to the privacy at the time. And almost all the houses in Jaisalmer have a basement, but these rooms are designed to be used only as a strong room for valuables, and also it will be very cool. And that was at that time even people are using. Building of facades have large number of projection like jharkas and chajas to provide shade to the facades. And the front part of facade which remains exposed are controlled by creating deeply curved patterns. We will see that in the later on, that it is being designed such that it will be acting like the fins for the transferring of heat, and also it will not heat it during the summer season. Some of the more thermal features of the houses, if you look at the town level, unequal heights with the wind pavilions and high parapets walls were used to create an uneven skyline, shading each other in the process, as I told earlier. At a macro level, building facades had a large number of projection like sunsets and balconies, so that you can maintain the temperature low. At the micro level, the flat parts of the building facades were deeply carved, creating fin surfaces so that the heat can be transferred. Let us look at this one example, like carved panels were being used, which were being helping in maintaining the temperature at low at a micro level in the house level. So, at the tree level, strategies were being adopted to keep the city at the lower temperature, although it is near the desert. So, besides the very narrow vertical ducts and staircase shafts were used to deflect window down into the house at the Jaisalmer. So, if you look at, this will act as a basically vertical ducts which will be heated off, and this courtyards, and such that this will be, the air will be passing through this due to the buoyancy, and then rooms, it will be passing through these rooms, and then it will be moving upwards. So, this will act as a ventilator also, it will be cooling the rooms. And after walls being protected from solar radiation, the roof is the only one that absorbs the major solar heat gain in the buildings, and that is being done in such a way that it will be absorb the less amount of heat, and massive roof structures being made of something 0.45 meter of earth ensure the small decrement factor of 0.162 and large time lag around 24 hours. The temperature won't be really go up higher. So, this is the cross section which I have shown here, and the earth field is very high, something quite a bit, and there is of course grass mat and the timber beams. Later on people have used also the stone beams because of not being availability of timber. And all these things what I have taken basically from Binod Gupta, who had done a great research on these thermal aspects of the houses in Jaisalmer, which is a very old city. If you look at the material conductivity properties, if you look at the thermal conductivity, concrete is 0.72, mixture of mud and dried grass of water is 0.52, and the wood around 0.12. If you look at that, they were not, a concrete is not the right material for the houses because it absorbs large amount of heat. As compared to that, the mud and then wood will be far better. Summary of the methods used for thermal management of Jaisalmer are basically dense clustering of buildings were being used. The sun rays won't be falling directly on the buildings, or it will be minimized by proper orientation and structural projection, and cooling of the sunlit surfaces by use of facade and with fins, and massive construction of roofs and walls were being used so that temperature will be comfortable in the room, and courtyards and other air ducts were used for ventilation. Therefore, the several techniques were used to keep the temperature. Several techniques were used to have a better management of the heat due to the sun which will be entering into the room, and also during the winter season. So, if you look at there is another method which is being used, basically thermal mass. It is a concept by which mass of the building provides inertia against the day and night temperature variation, and thick walls with mud and stone delay the heating of the building and smoothing of diurnal temperature variation. Massive structures takes time to heat as well as to cool down, and if you look at it, is basically inverse in the case of lightweight structure. If the structure is lightweight, then what will happen? It will heat it up very fast, and so also it will cool it down quickly. So, let us look at the Konark Sun Temple, and about which is known as Black Pagoda, and Konark means basically Kona and arc, and it is located around 66 km from Bhubaneswar, Odisha. It is one of the UNESCO World Heritage Site, one of the 7 wonders of India. Its height is around 98 feet, and it was built around 1238 to 1250, and by the king Narasimha Deva around 1250 CE. So, if you look at the ventilation system is quite unique in this temple, and these are the ventilators, and they are located at the east and the southern side of this region, and these are the tunnels which is having, and the size of ventilation tunnel was around 2.5 to 2.5 square, both the east west side and the north south side direction. For making this ventilation is good, and it is basically hot air which will go passing through the doors. It will be going through this region, and it will be passing through these ventilators which will be located here. So, let us look at why was courtyard used in ancient buildings, particularly in the southern part of the country, which is having a warm and humid climate. It is not that only southern part of the country it was being used, and we have seen also that it was used in Jaisalmer in area. And so, this is the courtyard, which is I have shown here, and this courtyard house in Tamil Nadu. Of course, this is all being paved, but earlier days generally the soil being remain here in this region, the courtyard, which was used as a garden, and it will also recharging of the water, and it will be helping in the ventilations. So, let us look at how does it helps in ventilation, because of it will be heated up and the warm air will be moving up from the courtyard, and the fresh air will be entering into the windows, and so that this will be act like a ventilation systems, and it will be cooling the temperature of these rooms, and also it will be providing ventilation, it will be providing the also the recharging of the water. So, if you look at the courtyard acts also termed as a microclimate modifier, it provides natural light into the buildings, it induces air circulation inside buildings, and as I told earlier, vegetation, water bodies in the courtyard helps increase humidity of dry air in hot climates. In some arid region act as a rainwater collectors and recharging the groundwater. So, that is a beautiful system which is not there today due to various reasons. Let us look at some other ventilation system which are being used, and this is a house in old house in Shahjahanabad, and if you look at these houses is being made, this is the terrace and it is having a parapet here, and there is a light structure which is being used intentionally, so that in the daytime, then this courtyard, there is a courtyard which will be helping have a air circulation through this room, and there will be light structure, so that air will be, hot air will be passing through it, and then air will be moving upward due to the buoyancy forces. And this is the similar thing also we had seen earlier in Haveli in Rajasthan in Jaisalmer, and that warm air will be going up, and then that will be replaced due to the movement of air from outside through the rooms, through the windows of the rooms and also the doors, so that there is a ventilation system. So, this is a very beautiful system which was prevailing earlier, and they have done it purposefully. If you look at this parapet particularly, we will see that this is very critical, and what will happen in during the night time, that this surface, this roof of this house, which will be radiating the heat, so that there will be circulations, and then some of the air which will be coming through this, because the parapet won't allow the move to other side. So, it will be moving in this way, the cool air will be entering in the other direction through the windows, and then you will also get. So, because that is the parapet is made in one side, but in modern time what we are doing, we do the parapet on the other all the sides, and this also the air is being provided, so that the air will enter into through these passages. So, this is a beautiful system which was there. So, let us look at some of the things which in modern people have done, and this is the thermal performance in traditional and modern buildings in Nagapattinam in Tamil Nadu, and this is the top view of a traditional building. Of course, this will be having a courtyard and open spaces, and then the according to the Vastu, they have designed this room. This is a bedroom, gathering space, and puja rooms, and then storerooms. And this is a modern building which people use it, and which is having a same space they have having. And what they have done in the traditional house, the mud mortar with the mud plaster being used. In the modern, the concretes and other things are being courtyard with the wind catchers, and terracotta tiles are being used for both the houses. So, if you look at they have measured the temperature, and this is temperature in degrees Celsius. This is the comfort zone, that is 30 degrees Celsius, and the time in hours, 24 hours. And if you look at the outdoor temperature, it goes something around 26 degrees Celsius to the 41 kind of degrees Celsius at the peak around 12 to 1 o'clock, it goes up. But whereas if you look at the modern building, temperature goes up to even 36, 37, which is uncomfortable. But in the traditional building, the temperature remains almost a very comfortable zone, except very small change in the from the comfortable zone, that is around 30, 31 goes around 12 and 13. So if you little bit modify this situation, then it will be in comfortable zone. So therefore, if we can adopt traditional technology even today, we can have a very comfortable space for us to live in the house, and we can design that. That is being, and let me talk about that importance of lime over the Portland cement. The lime stabilize the internal humidity building by absorbing and releasing moisture because it can breathe, and production of lime consumes less energy as compared to cement, thereby reducing the greenhouse emission. It is biodegradable, and lime mortars ensure recycling of bricks, unlike the cement, Portland cement what we use. Lime is highly durable as compared to the Portland cement, as claimed by some of the researchers, and its thermal conductivity is much less than the Portland cement. But unfortunately, we are using the Portland cement, and earlier days lime were being processed by the unskilled people even in rural areas, and the technology was there. But today the technology of the Portland cement is with the market forces, not with the people. But although the lime is having a lot of advantages over the Portland cement, but however we do not use it. So it is unfortunate, and we should in ancient time lime was being used in most of the buildings, particularly the palaces and other places, larger buildings, structures. Let us look at what we can learn from this past and how we can do. In ancient India, passive measures were taken by and large to respond to the context for solving problems, and several types of passive cooling systems such as space utilization, flexible building envelope, microclimate modification, thermal mass, night radiation cooling and ventilation were used in ancient Indian buildings, which we can utilize today. And indigenous architecture works in close association with Mother Nature, and those techniques are basically sustainable and eco-friendly, and it provides better thermal comfort for the residents at any point of time. And we need to have a proper amalgamation of passive cooling techniques in modern buildings such that the energy consumption can be reduced. And according to me, these kind of more studies are required, and also it should be included in the curriculum of civil engineering and architecture, so that our student will be aware about this and utilize that for making the buildings. Thank you very much for listening this. I hope and wish that we can adopt some of them in the modern time to minimize the energy consumption and adopt the passive cooling system so that we can have a comfortable life. Thank you very much.